Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Alex Questa Daily Show. How are we doing tonight? It is January 14th of 2022. I'm recording this evening, and I'm coming at you with another fun edition. I hope everyone has enjoyed what's been going on so far. I'm enjoying it. I am still feeling better. I've got a little worse today with my little illness, popped back in for a little bit, but I am still feeling better, good enough to do the show. So that's good for everybody here. We're going to have a lot of fun today because I'm going to bring you guys White House / CNN comedy hour in this episode. So what we're going to be talking about today is a fun little article. Oh, and before we get going, before I get into all that fun jazz and I get caught up, please, if you like what you're listening to, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to this, rate it 5 stars. Share this around, word of mouth, tell people about it, because the more people share this is the best way for this to get out, is organically. So please do all those things and help us grow here so we can continue to do fun things like this, break down these articles and talk a little more truth out there, because the more truth going out there, the better. So thanks again for listening. Please share this, rate it. Let's get into it. The article, again, from CNN, it's an analysis piece, so I'm going to put that out there. It's not news, by Cillizza. I think that's how I say his name. He's a CNN editor at large there, and it's from, I guess, his own personal thing, The Point on here. And the title is it's fantastic. The White House just put out a baffling polling memo. Now, this is from the 14th. This is from today. In the evening, it was updated at 3:22 p.m. was the last update. So we're going to get into this article because it's hilarious, and it's hilarious for all the right reasons. And I'm going to break it down some more as we read it. So here we go. The White House wants to get something straight. President Joe Biden is unpopular, but he's not that unpopular. Sorry, Chris. Yes, he is. He kind of sucks. So let's continue. Yes, really. Witness a polling memo released Thursday night by Deputy White House Chief of Staff Jen O'Malley Dillon that takes issue with the new Quinnipiac University poll that shows Biden's job approval at a meager 33%. Quote, this week's Quinnipiac poll, just like Quinnipiac's poll for the last 5 months, is very likely an outlier, end quote, writes Dillon. Now, Quinnipiac poll has been one of the ones scorching Joe Biden. I think he's been the lowest there, like they said, for the last 5 months, and running in the 30s. He's been worse there than he has been in the Rasmussen poll. Rasmussen poll is usually one of the greatest enemies that they have in the left. So it's been interesting to see. And obviously, the White House sees this number 33%, and it scares the hell out of them. Now, let me give you a reasoning here. One of the main reasons why 33% scares them is because if a president dips under 30% on any of these major polls, then it is a confidence shot to the rest of the party, basically that this individual cannot lead their party anymore. I think Nixon got into the 20s and then they asked him to resign. If it gets to that point, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't go and ask Joe Biden to resign. And if we look at some of these places, it's not like you're getting Kamala Harris much better. She's polling right now from Real Clear Politics and favorability ratings at 39.1%. So you'd be passing the torch to somebody right there in the 30s, not very popular either. So yes, they're trying to downplay this 33% at Quinnipiac because it scares the hell out of them. Let's continue with the article. As evidence, she cites the 538 running poll average of all polls conducted that shows Biden with an average job approval score of 43%. 43%. I'm going to repeat that because that's hilarious. She blames Biden's low numbers in the Q poll on a higher than average percentage of people saying they don't know in response to the question of whether they approve or disapprove of the job Biden is doing. concludes Dylan. This is likely in part because Quinnipiac still exclusively uses a method called RDD, random digit dialing, calling phone numbers at random to collect data, a method which many major organizations have abandoned. And that's how she defends this. So they don't target their audience like a lot of these other polling places do. So there is less of a chance that they're intentionally waiting, which is what a lot of these polling places do now. They intentionally wait their the number of people they call from either side to get certain results. And that's evident in how awful a lot of the polling has been throughout not just the last two elections, the midterm elections. So they right there again, they're playing defense on this, and they bring the number 43%. That's a whole 10% higher. It's still awful, but it is a whole 10% higher. And as I have the Real Clear Politic up today, right now, January 14, 2022, as we sit, the approval ratings at 41.6%. This is at 11:03 that I'm recording. So it is already lower than when this article was updated at 3:00 today. So yeah, it's not doing good. Let's continue. So it says, which maybe, but take a step back here. This is the Biden White House fighting to make sure roughly 4 in 10 people approve of the job that the president is doing, as opposed to 1 in 3 approving. Even if we take Dylan at her word, and I think we should, then Biden is in rough shape politically. Yeah, of course you think you should, Chris, because you are cheerleading for the Bidens to do better. So yeah, let's take them at their word and hope that 43% is the right number and that Quinnipiac is dead wrong. We'll continue. Compare where Biden stands today to where his predecessors have been. Biden is at 43% approval in the latest Gallup monthly poll. So they're going by Gallup here. At roughly the same points in their presidencies, here's where the last 7 people to hold office were. They have Trump there at 37, Obama at 50, W. Bush at 86, Clinton at 54, HW at 71, Reagan at 49, Jimmy Carter at 57. They give credit to Gallup Presidential Approval Center, which is an invaluable resource. With the exception of Trump, Biden is in the worst shape of any of them. And of course, Trump's Republican Party lost 41 House seats and the majority of the 2018 midterms, and Trump himself lost his bid for the second term 2 years later. So let's remind you that Trump was under constant attack. He had the Russian fake bullshit collusion coming down against him constantly in there. There were already grumblings of impeachment. They tried to impeach the guy before he even actually got inaugurated. So he was up against a ton of media scrutiny from this particular outlet as well as many others. And people are going to turn around and they have the stupid puff pieces. Biden faces tougher media scrutiny. He faces tougher media scrutiny about the actual job that he's really shitty at. The economy is awful. And it's not getting much better. They point to his jobs number that he created. He missed again by 300,000 jobs in December. I don't know where they pulled this from. But not to make excuses, Trump's polling was terrible at that point. And the reality is the House seats were lost. It was, they lost the majority. And we're looking to see something more of a bloodbath coming this term. So it seems like Chris is trying to get the party ready for what's about to happen. We're going to continue, which means that being in slightly better polling shape than Trump is nothing for Biden to brag about. A 43% job approval score, if it holds all the way through November, and there is some evidence that this is non-exception, but rather the rules for Biden at this point, Democrats are very likely to lose the House and no better than 50-50 shot at keeping the Senate majority. They're very hopeful, everybody, with that Senate majority 50-50 shot. It is not likely with what it's looking like that they're going to be able to keep it. And that is not good. And at that point, they're going to be rooting for it to drop under 30%. I'll watch that. So why then, if you are the Biden White House, put out a memo that insists that the president is at 43% approval? Well, it's because 43% is a number that worries Democrats on the ballot in November, while 33% is one that incites full-on panic. They put in parentheses, it's worth noting that in CNN's latest poll of polls, which includes the 4 most recent national polls on the president's job rating, approval rating, has him similar at 42%. If that means anything to anybody, it shouldn't. With Democrat retirements in the House coming fast and furious, and Biden's attempt to push for the Build Back Better Act and new voting legislation stalled, the White House is in crisis mode, fighting back against the idea that the presidency is sinking, and now is the time to jump ship. Yeah, a lot of people are jumping ship, and we have ridiculously enough, two bastions protecting freedom in Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, insisting that a filibuster that was used ridiculous amount of times by the Democrats and consistently used by the Democrats throughout history as well, they're the ones defending it and understanding that a simple majority leads to dictatorship and tyranny every single time. And that is what the left is pushing for. Let's get a simple majority and let's get rid of the 60-40, which is what people need to realize. And everyone talks about the voting rights are so important. Build Back Better is so important. If it's so important, then rally 60 members to get it done. Our government has always been at odds. Both sides have always been at odds. And if it's important enough, we either get things done unanimously or we get them done at, a 60-40 line, but it gets done if it's important enough. It's not important enough to get this stuff done. The writing on the bills are probably not good enough to make compromises. So no, the filibuster should not die. I'll continue here. We're in another parentheses. Also worth noting, talk of Biden's presidency imploding is rife these days. And then he promotes an article by Julian Zelizer that I did not read. Hence, Dylan's conclusion that quote, the president and congressional Democrats will build on this progress from 2022, addressing price increases, mitigating supply chain bottlenecks, implementing the bipartisan infrastructure law, and making addition progress fighting the virus. So let's break down these because these are fantastic. The progress they're going to build on in 2022. Okay. Addressing price increases. Since when has price increases ever truly gone down in anything? When things go up, they usually stay up. And you notice they didn't mention about energy and about gas. They don't care about the gas prices really going up because their goal is to make everything electric. So right there, that's comedy right there. They're not going to succeed on that. They failed on everything else coming to that. Mitigating supply chain bottlenecks. I believe there's still like 90 boats on the coast of California, and we're seeing the supply chain bottlenecks still cause havoc. And I've seen some stupid people on Twitter like, wow, it started under Trump. Yeah, but this guy took the presidency promising to fix all this stuff. And when you take on a problem, it becomes yours. And he hasn't done shit. He hasn't done anything in 2 years to make it better. If anything, he's made it worse. So that's another comedy hour. Implementing the bipartisan infrastructure law. I'm tired of them calling things bipartisan when it's 5 members. I get it. There was a lot of turncoats on this one, but we need to get rid of the term bipartisan because it's stupid and it's a dumb political talking tool. And making this has to be a typo, additional progress fighting the virus. Yeah, doing a great job fighting the virus by just letting it take its course. That's actually what's going on right now. It's just taking its course. Everything we've done to mitigate it hasn't worked. It's hit every single country, and Omicron is extremely contagious. All they're doing right now is letting it take its course and continuing with the bullshit about masks, saying that they work, which they do not. Let's finish up this article. The shorter version of this pitch goes like this. Stick this out. It has to get better, which I get. But man, you are in a dark place politically when winning is convincing people that the president is at 43%. And Mr. Cillizza here is happy to be their cheerleader because the top of this made it look like this was going to kind of be like a scathing thing. But instead, it just became a little comedy puff piece. So, how do you defend this? And they said that, and he's not in great shape, but we can do it, Democrats. This is the problem. And this guy's an editor-in-chief, an editor at large at CNN writing this piece. This is the problem. The journalists like to hear their opinions a lot. They'd like to bring their own opinions out now. And that became prevalent under Trump. I'm happy this was labeled analysis, but come on. How are we going to trust an editor at large with a piece like this? That's basically saying that he's only a little bit better than Trump and let's prepare for the bloodbath, but we're going to take them at their word that it's not that bad. We're going to try and make it better. Come on, man. This whole piece is a joke. Talking about, I don't like polls as it is. the approval rating polls are, I guess they're okay. If you look at some of the methodologies, some of the sampling numbers, the last Reuters Ipsos was 1,000 adults, 2,000. They're not, a lot of these samples aren't fantastic. Some of them have big numbers. If you go over to 538, some of them have like 45,000 people, the morning consult. That has them at 43% approval. That one I like a lot more. 45,000 person sample. That's a huge sample. And 538 has their stuff weighted. They have them at 42.2%. It's not good. I don't care. Anyone wants to spin it. It's not good. Biden is in the tank. He's doing terrible. He's doing a terrible job as president. And this isn't just media scrutiny, like a lot of the blue checks on Twitter and around like to say that he's getting a bunch of media scrutiny. No, he's not. His media scrutiny is warranted because it's affecting all sides of the political spectrum. His ineptitude is affecting everybody. It doesn't matter who you vote for. The only people it's not affecting is the elites who live on regardless of what goes on. So this guy sucks. The polling, whether it's 42, 43%, 33%, it's bad. He's a bad president. He has not done what he's promised at all, or even seeming attempted to, especially unifying the nation and curing cancer. I'm never going to let him get over his claim that he was going to cure cancer because he hasn't done that. So I just have to throw one more thing. Trafalgar Group was a group that I like. This is as of December 21st, so it definitely has changed, but they had him at 40.4% there. I think it's probably gotten worse, if you have to imagine, since then, but I don't know. It's tough to read these pieces and just the tone of the piece where it should be a lot more dire is essentially Quinnipiac poll is wrong. We're going to trust Gallup. It's pretty bad, but there's still hope. That's honestly what this piece says. And it's a joke because at this point, if they continue to go down the road they're going as Democrats, if they continue to push, they have to see what they're doing isn't popular. What they're doing is not popular. If you can't get 60-40, then it shouldn't be a thing. If you can't get 2/3 of the House, then it shouldn't be a thing. These bills are too important to just pass on 51, period. So overall, Biden is doing terribly. Maybe Quinnipiac is a little bit of an outlier, 33%, but I kind of like the random dial. That to me tells me they're not really weighting who they call more and who they don't. They could be calling any Joe Schmo. So I kind of like that better, but you know what? That's outdated because it gave them the wrong thing. But they're never complaining about Quinnipiac poll when it gives them when it gives them something that they like. So remind you, these polls are all their friends and all their enemies at very different times. But all right, that was some fun. That was some comedy that I felt like giving everybody because every once in a while we need some funny stuff. So I appreciate everyone listening to the Daily. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow. Like as always, we'll see. If my stomach participates, I'll be back. If it doesn't, God willing, maybe I'll have to take another day. David and I couldn't work out schedules for the Alex Cuesta show itself, the main guy there. So we're going to probably skip a week, come back next week and do some fun stuff a little bit longer. But until then, continue to listen to the dailies. If you want our socials, go look up the Alex Cuesta show anywhere you can find social media. As always, like, share, follow, rate 5 stars, and continue to spread the word. I'm going to continue to do this. It's a good time and let's continue to roll. So everybody, I appreciate you listening. Have a good one all.